Hey, and welcome to Finlos Lives, recording from the road with an episode that I'm going to call Travel Notes. We'll see how many of these I manage to record while I'm here in Cleveland for about 2 weeks for work. I wanted to make sure to keep up recording some episodes to keep the creative flow going. I am exercising and maintaining those habits, but it's harder to record while exercising when I'm in a hotel gym or out in the city walking. But I do want to make sure that I'm doing my best to document and to hold myself accountable to meeting my goals, which are staying physically active and creating content for these podcasts. So thank you for joining me in this little bit of a different episode, but hopefully it'll give you some insight into what my experience has been so far while traveling in Cleveland, doing work in preparation for the AP reading. Very exciting stuff because I've been to AP readings as a reader, but never as on the other side of the table as a developer. So let's get started. In the first segment, where I'm going to talk about just some general experiences, the rhythm of work, and how that contrasts with the rhythm of solitude. And I mean that not in a melodramatic, sad kind of way, but just in terms of having the contrasting experiences of very intense work, which requires me to cooperate in conjunction with my team and working with a large group of folks here as we prepare to score the AP exam, and then shifting to long periods of time where I am mostly by myself and getting to do some solo activities. I think it's an interesting chance to have this balance. I think the hardest part of being on this trip really is not being able to spend the time that I would like to with Eva and with the girls. But again, it is an opportunity to sort of explore, to have some reflecting on myself and making sure that the person that I am is in sync with the person that I'm wanting to be, and to sort of almost get to do some maintenance, some introspection, and trying to monitor and adjust behaviors to make sure that even without the safety, security, and guardrails of the regular routine, that I am also able to maintain healthy patterns. And I am actually really happy to say that I am. I it is hard to not just kind of come to the hotel room and drop on the bed and just waste time. I've brought things with me to record. Obviously, you can hear this episode that I'm working on. I brought a little mini keyboard to try to work on some musical ideas that I've been sitting on for a while. I've brought books to read. And I'm making sure every day to be really, really physically active since I have time to do so. I have to say that I don't know, proud is the right word, but I am satisfied with my own ability to remain focused and to adhere to the lifestyle that I think is really good for both my mental and physical health. So this is both an acknowledgement of that progress that I've made, but also it's an acknowledgement of the people in my life who have really helped me to get to this point. Significantly, Eva, my partner, the audience who continues to listen to these episodes, Finlos Lives and Rowing with the Homies, and just people in general in my life, my friends, and those who care and those who have been with me over the past years of transition into like what I want to think of as my real adulthood, when I really had to, for my own sake and for the sake of family and loved ones, kind of shed the bulk of whatever remained of adolescence And those are things that are always present. They're always that's what I'm talking about when I make sure that when I say that I'm trying to make sure that I'm adhering to the version of myself that I want to be, that I don't let those old sort of immature patterns come back, because they serve a function in terms of the seeking of pleasure, or the coping with really dangerous environments, or with an inability to have control over the world. But as we gain autonomy as mature adults, they don't really serve as much of a function. So shout out to all of you who have been with me on this journey, and I know that I still have a lot of work to do, as I think we all continue to grow and learn and always try to be the best versions of ourselves. But I do want to talk a little bit about what a day looks like for me here. Not that this is particularly exciting, but it is sort of a journal of sorts, a field, like field notes. And one cool thing that I have been able to do so far is there's a walking group that gets up every morning at about 5:30, 5:45 to do a 2-mile walk. And so I've done that a few times with them, and it's really cool because these are folks who have been doing this work for approaching a decade, and they have really established really strong relationships and bonds with each other, and they're also very experienced in this work. And so it's really nice to be able to sort of talk with them as fellow teachers and as fellow developers and experts in the field, and to do so in a really cool and relaxed way, while also getting to know the city and walk around. The day then transitions to preparing to do the work that we're going to be doing. Like, this is a 2-week deployment, I guess I could say, out into the field as we prepare. The first half of that being preparation for the reading, and then the second half being the reading itself. So my days mostly, unfortunately, consist of me and the team that they're not mine, but the team that I work with, sitting at our computers and really poring over content and making sure that we have everything that we need to have in order. It's intense, very detail oriented work. It's not the most exciting thing, but it is extremely complex, and I'm really lucky in that I'm getting to work with very experienced people and very competent people, and highly motivated people, because they are huge wells of knowledge and experience that I'm getting to pull from. And little by little, they have been able to loop me into some of these tasks and allow me to be a part of the process. So it's been a really cool learning experience. The downside of that is that there is a little bit of a mental and physical toll. The physical being the sitting still, like my back really starts to hurt by the end of the day. I get really fidgety. I start to lose focus, especially after lunch. That's really hard. And then just because it's very intensive work for long periods of time, it is draining mentally. And then there are just periods of acute, intense focus that are required. So it can be exhausting at times, but again, it is very rewarding. And the other downside to that is that, I'm in an unfamiliar space. And so I'm really having to connect and rely on people that I don't necessarily know. And it's not for a lack of trust, because I really liked most of the people that I've met, but we have unfamiliar working patterns. And so having to navigate new relationships, having to navigate new spaces and new patterns has been a little bit taxing, but also, again, very rewarding. The other side of that is that once the day's work is done, and sometimes these days are long. We start at 8, and these past couple of days we've worked until 6, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Today I was actually told to leave before my teammates were done, because there's just work that I can't do, and then they there's no reason for me to stay. So that was both really hard for me to do, because like I want to help and support those people, but They insisted that I take some time for myself. The solo time is really cool because I get to do a lot of walking, which I enjoy, especially when it comes to new spaces and new cities. One of my favorite things to do is actually just walk in a new town or a new city to get a sense of directions, to get a sense of location, and to experience the people and the culture. And so I'm doing a lot of walking, and I've walked the bulk, like almost all of the downtown area of Cleveland, which is a it's not a small city, but it's not a big city either. But I've walked most of the area, and it's really cool because I have a very good sense of where I am at any given moment. I can usually look at the buildings around me and be able to tell which direction I need to go just based upon the architecture. And the architecture itself is actually really pretty. It's a really cool combination of Art Deco, original facades, but then modern buildings built alongside. So I'm just really enjoying that, getting to exercise later into the evening to help me wind down at night, getting to walk around and try new foods and just generally have time to think and to sit and to contemplate where I am and sort of the things that I want to do. It's it's a really interesting experience to go from the routine of really being interconnected with the family to sort of being a little bit more isolated. But it's hard because I really want to help as much as possible to make sure that Eva is not having to do too much, but there's not really much that I can do since I'm not there. And the flip side, of course, is then that I am sort of kind of just floating and doing the things that I need to do to make sure that I maintain my own sense of normal. And that's generally how my days are broken up: waking up early and working and then exploring. And the second thing that I want to do in this episode, these travel notes, is a segment I'm going to call One City and Five Senses. So I'm just going to do my best to explore each of the five senses, explore things that I've experienced through each of the five senses, I should say. And this is very much a practice in mindfulness. Thank you, Eva, for having done this with me before, but it's a way of grounding, it's a way of remaining present and not becoming overwhelmed, because it can be overwhelming at times to sort of feel isolated, to feel alone, to feel so much distance from the people that I care about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sight. And I think the first thing that I really have repeatedly stopped to enjoy in terms of that sense has been the sun setting over Lake Erie. Obviously, Cleveland is right on the Great Lake, Lake Erie, and I'm lucky that my hotel room overlooks the lake. So each evening, I get to watch the sunset. And some days, most days, it's been kind of hazy, foggy. So the sun is this kind of burning red color that is very pretty. But today was actually really clear, and I could see out onto the lake much farther than I had since I've been here. And it was just a really beautiful sunset. And so it gives the almost the illusion of being near the ocean, but knowing that it's just really big freshwater lake is just really cool. And the sun setting every day has been a treat. The second sense that I want to talk about is sound. And the sounds that I want to focus on are the sounds of being in the hotel, and in particular when I'm reading or sort of doing work on the computer in my room, and there's not a lot of ambient noise in terms of like the TV, or I'm not listening to music. All of the hive sounds of the hotel start to permeate, and it's really cool. For some people it might be really distracting or really annoying, but I find it to be actually quite soothing because I can hear the faint muffled sound of people's voices through the walls, and I'm sure that they're hearing me now, and they're probably wanting me to shut up because it's like 11 o'clock. But the hearing just the faintness of a voice, can't hear what they're saying. It's barely even audible as words. It's just more like just the warm sound of voices through the walls, the footsteps going up and down the hallway, and it's interesting to hear how different types of shoes make different kinds of sounds. There's a regular dinging of the elevator in the hallway, which again, some people might find it really annoying because it's intermittent, but it's just a really pleasing ding sound that I really, really like. In the mornings and in the afternoons, I enjoy hearing the voices of the housekeeping staff as they're going from room to room and doing their tasks. Not just the knocking, but the when they get to have their conversations. It's nice to hear the human aspect of what they're doing, and that they're people, and they're just going about their work just like I'm going about my work, and it makes me feel and appreciate and value what they're doing, and it's really cool. The city sounds from outside, like there's a very hushed white noise of traffic and talking and honking and yelling and all of the things, all of the sounds that you hear in a city. I really enjoy that. It's a very nice white noise that is very soothing. And then I don't sleep well to begin with, but I sleep even less well when I'm traveling, especially in hotels, because it's not in my normal space and not in my normal routine, and I'm already vigilant as it is, and so sounds wake me up sometimes. But I've been using just very calm ambient music to kind of help me drift to sleep, and so that's been a new thing that I've been adding to my sound repertoire. As far as the sense of touch, there's one that I've already mentioned, which is an internal feeling, and it's really a sharp pain that I feel in my lower back from sitting and doing computer work all day. I'm finding myself making sure to check my posture, standing up and walking around a lot, bending over and stretching, and just trying to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. But it is definitely one of the more specific feelings that I'm starting to associate with this trip, which is this very sharp back pain that I'm experiencing. But a positive or a more pleasurable feeling or a sense of touch that I have gotten to experience is, and it's a combination of factors that cause it, but because we're right next to the lake and because there's really tall buildings in the city, it creates this really cool wind tunnel effect. So even on the warmer days, it's been generally really cool because there's this almost constant breeze that flows between the buildings, and it's very fluid and it's very very soothing. And because I'm relatively close to the water, there's also like a pleasant watery smell, but it's not pungent like the ocean can be. It's almost, I don't know, it's like a soft sweet smell that's coming from the lake, and it's so there's a smell, I guess, associated with the wind too. I'm cheating a little bit there with smell. I've been able to go to a few different restaurants since I've been here, and one of my favorite parts about being on these trips is that I eat out almost every night, and so I try to go to a new place every night to try different types of food. Some of the smells that have really stood out to me as being really really pleasant. I was in a pub and I got a pizza, and so they had these really nice pizza ovens, and so the smell of pizza dough proofing and then being baked is a really memorable smell. I went to a Lebanese restaurant. They have the grills that they're grilling all of the kebabs on, and so that the smell of searing meat and with those spices has been a really really nice smell. And then tonight I went to a Cajun Creole fusion restaurant, and a very particular odor was the smell of the spices that they use to season their foods, like paprika and that sort of floury, pungent smell. It was really pleasurable, and I enjoyed that. Even if it wasn't my favorite food, it was there were still really positive aspects of it. So, getting to smell the different types of foods has been a really cool experience. And then finally, I'm gonna wrap up with taste. I'm gonna contrast one taste, but in two different ways, and that's the taste of coffee, because so much of these trips and so much of life in general is sort of can be measured out in terms of coffee cups or cups of coffee throughout the day. And so I begin the day with cold coffee. Like I drink cold brew in the morning. I have like a bottle of cold brew coffee that I drink when I first get up before I go for the walk, which is very generic, not unpleasant, slightly sweetened cold brew coffee, which is fine. It gets me going. But then on my way to the convention center where I'm doing the work, I stop at a nice cafe and I get a really good cup of coffee. Fresh grind and steamed milk, and it's just that's like how coffee should be. And it's not quite the same as making it at home, but it's good coffee, and it's very pleasurable, and it's there's a the warmth of it as you drink it, and it's just refreshing. And then there's the rest of the day coffee, right? This is the institutional coffee that we get like on breaks at work, where the convention center staff set up these coffee stations, and it's served in giant shiny urns, and it's not great coffee. It it's exactly what you imagine it to be, just boring, watery coffee. But it gets the job done, and it has its own sort of comfort to it, as it helps mark the time. It helps remind me that it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to feed my body. So coffee is an important part of the traveling experience. So there you have it. There's some thoughts on my trip so far to Cleveland. I'll probably do another couple of these while I'm here. Maybe I'll do another round of what the five senses have been and give you some updated notes. But thank you for joining me. Drop me a line. Let me know what you think. If you've ever been to Cleveland, give me some suggestions on things to do, restaurants to go to. You can contact me, Finlos at finloslives.com. You can leave me a note on social media, or you can go to the website, finloslives.com. I'd really appreciate it if you share the show with somebody in your network. And I look forward to our next conversation.